Hi, you're very welcome to my roundup of the 10 most popular videos on this channel for the year 2020. For people who are new to the channel, you are very welcome, and hopefully this video will give you a flavour of the sort of content that I cover. For existing viewers, this video will hopefully highlight some potentially very interesting videos that you may have missed first time out. Same as last year, all videos on the channel are ranked based on the viewing statistics for calendar 2020. And the ranking is based on a combination of the total views, the number of likes, and the average percentage viewing time for each video, which in itself is a good indicator as to how much people liked the video and or found it useful. While the algorithm for calculating a score for each video is my own, the data feeding into it is driven by you, the viewers to the channel. This analysis is very useful to me in terms of understanding the kinds of videos people like most, and I take this on board in terms of planning new videos for the coming year. A number of videos from 2019 appear in this year's top 10, and this is due to the videos that may have had a slow take-up initially, attracting an audience 6 to 12 months later. Before we get going, I want to call out a number of honourable mentions that figured just outside the top 10. We have 4 of these this year. So the first of these is a video I did in 2019, and this was a video I did on 2 of the Murphy models Class 071s. Basically, I joined a review of these and asked the question whether these were some of the best Irish railway models that ever existed. Again, this was a video that probably got a slow take-up initially and has probably got a larger take-up this year. A lot of interest in Irish models this year, and I guess that really drove some good viewing statistics on this particular video. And a very interesting one if you are interested in the Irish modelling area and the Class 071 in particular, and these are magnificent models. The next one in terms of the honourable mentions was a Class 450 from Pacman. This is in the southern livery, and it's in a weathered livery, and this is an EMU that has been around for a while. I just got around to reviewing it this year. I did like this EMU and did some nice running session with it, and I did a review as well, a reasonably positive review. So this is a video from earlier in the year, and it picked up a lot of likes, a lot of views during the year. The next honourable mention is a video I did on the Oxford Rail Mark 3A blue-grey coaches. This is one of these videos where I did encounter some quality issues with the actual product itself. I do like the coaches, they look very nice, but they did have some quality issues, and this was echoed in the comments that came subsequently from people who viewed the video. And I think it can be very useful sometimes to read down through the comments in these videos, and this is a case in point where a lot of people shared their own experiences with these coaches, and it kind of echoed basically what I covered in the video. The next and the last of the honourable mentions is a recent video I've done for the Regional Railways Class 37 from Pacman. This is a weathered, factory weathered locomotive as Class 37. I also did the coaches for this, and this seemed to be a pretty popular video. A lot of people have picked up on it. It's only been out there for a couple of months, and so it kind of appears pretty high on the list here for such a recent video. So if you're interested in the Regional Railways livery, this is probably an interesting video to catch up on. Okay, so let's get into the top 10 itself. So in at number 10 is a video, again one that I did in 2019, and it was on the Lima CIE Supertrain, and it was a retro review of a model that came out in the mid-70s. I had previously put up a running session video of this particular train, and this was a full review, and kind of comparing it to the sort of quality of modelling product we have today, and giving it a rating based on that. So very interesting review, seems to have got a lot of interest this year in particular. I suppose a lot of people are interested in, again, in Irish models, and I think the retro reviews tend to be very popular. I think it brings back a lot of memories for people from their childhood in many cases, for trains that they had when they were younger, and I think this has been pretty popular. So an interesting review. If you're interested in Irish model railways, I think this was an interesting model in its time, and hence this video seems coming in at number 10. At number 9, it's a video on the Pacman, and it's actually a running session video, and most of the top 10 tend to be either reviews or features. And it's interesting that an actual video, which is just literally a running session of the locomotive, figures so high. And this one, as I said, in at number 9, and it's the Class 450 again, And this was just the running session video for that particular locomotive, which is pretty short. These tend to be pretty short videos, usually between 6 to 8 minutes. And this was one where it's one of the first videos where I used matte backdrops on my layout. If people look at my older videos, you'll see curtains in the background, you'll see the wood at the side of the layout, etc. And earlier this year I did start putting in matte overlays in post. They make the whole video look a lot better, and they make the layout look a lot better. So this was one of the first videos that I did that on. And again, the 450 was quite a popular video at the time, and this was, I'd say, pretty popular, and this comes in at number 9. Number 8 is one of the more recent videos that I did. This is for the Murphy Models Class 121, and it was actually an instructional video in terms of opening up the model to access the dip switches or to access the DCC socket and install a DCC decoder, DCC sound decoder. And so probably a video of interest to people who have newly acquired a 121, and hence I suppose that's one of the reasons why it kind of figures in the top 10. So coming in at number 8, a relatively new video, so good to see a new video like that coming into the top 10 for the whole year. That's a good indicator that was a pretty popular video. Number 7 is actually a repeat from last year. So this video figured in the top 10 last year. It's for the DAPL Class 73 in the Intercity livery, executive livery. And this was one of these reviews, I suppose, I did where I did run into some problems. There was some running issues with this locomotive. Nice looking locomotive, but some running problems with it. Kind of a design flaw, I guess, that's inherent in the locomotive. So I did have some problems. And this just seems to be very popular. A lot of people seem to be very interested in the Class 73 from DAPL, and this is one of the nicer liveries, I would say, for that locomotive. And so it's picked up a lot of views in 2020, following on from having a pretty good year. It was in the top 10 last year as well, so quite interesting to see a video reoccur in the top 10 in the second year. And it kind of shows you that that model railways or models have a multi-year lifespan, and I suppose people are picking them up either second hand or on eBay, etc. And even from the vendors, some models can take a number of years to sell out. So there's still maintaining an interest there for people, and hence these videos have a longevity for people to go back and use as reference points if they're interested in particular models. The next video, I think, wasn't a surprise to me. It was probably a surprise to me it didn't fare better last year, but it did come out slightly later in the year. And it was a video I did on the Pacman Class 55 Deltix, of which I've got 5 at the moment. There was one that was missing, actually, was probably 2 that was missing actually when I did this particular review. And it was so it was a video on the Deltix that I had. I think a lot of people are obviously interested in the Class 55 Deltix, and again, a video that probably picked up a lot more views this year than it did last year, and probably getting around a lot more, maybe getting shared a bit more this year, and people latching onto it. So very pleased for that video. I did like and enjoyed doing that video, and it's very much of interest, and it will be interesting this year and the coming year with the EuviRail Class 55 coming on the table. I will be doing a review of that, comparing it to the Pacman Class 55, so watch out for that one in 2021. So number 5 is another running session video, and again, unusual to see these ones figure so high in the list. It came out about the same time as the Class 450, and again I was using the matte backdrops. It was one of the first videos where I was using the matte backdrops. It was the Hornby Javelin Class 395. It seems to be pretty popular, a lot of people interested in it. Pretty low cost model, and I did give it a favourable review, and this was the running session for that. Pretty well ran it to its performance up to full speed. And so an interesting video, and a kind of an enjoyable video to watch if you like watching the higher speed locomotives on a layout. So number 4, the Hornby Railroad model, and which I think it's the first Hornby Railroad model I've had in a top 10 for the HST Class 43 version in the British Rail livery. And I was interested in this model myself because I wasn't able to get the super detailed version of this particular Class 43, so I was interested to see how the railroad version fared out. So this was a review, and an interesting review with some good findings, and I think well worth a look if you are looking at purchasing that particular model. It's a very low cost model, I think you would want to look at that review before purchasing it, just to make sure it met your needs. So that's been a popular review, and probably no surprise. There's a lot of people looking at that particular model. So we get into the top three, and number 3 is actually the review of the Hornby Class 395, the Javelin. We had the running session at number 5, and at number 3 we've got the actual review model video of this. And again, this is a relatively low cost model, pretty popular with people. A better quality model than, say, that previous HST model that we were just talking about. This was a better runner than that. And so, I think this was a very useful and informative review for people. So again, if you're interested in that model, take a look at that particular review. And I do like this model, and I did give it a favourable result. So at number 2 is one of these kind of interesting feature videos. It's kind of a retro video, looking back at a train set that I owned many years ago, the Intercity Express from Hornby, which is contained a class 37 and also 3 Pullman coaches. And I basically took a look back at that original train set, and I looked at recreating it in 2020, and what equivalent parts would I use, again using the benefits of DCC and sound, etc., and lighting that we have today, and putting together a version of that Intercity train for 2020. So there was the selection of the locomotive, the selection of the coaches, which was really just getting the later Hornby Pullman coaches, and putting all of that together. So a very interesting review. It is a bit of a retro review, so a step into the past for anybody who might have owned one of these, and a lot of people out there. Hence a lot of interest in this particular video this year. A lot of people, a little bit of nostalgia, I guess, for people looking back at this. And hence it's been a very popular video on the channel, and it's kind of, again, one of these videos I enjoyed doing myself, because it was a bit of a look back, a bit of nostalgia for me as well. So that was number 2. So number 1 is not what it should have been. It didn't turn out to be the video I thought it would be, but it's been a very popular video, and I suppose a very relevant video for people. And it was it wasn't actually a review, it was more I suppose an assertion and a kind of a summary of issues I found, and with the Hatton's Class 66. I didn't do a full review because I only had the model for 24 hours before I returned it. I did have problems with it, and I did video aspects of the model while I did have it in my possession, and I shared those with Hatton's as well. And I suppose this video, I thought this would be a kind of a real positive review, talking about how fantastic this model was and all the great things, and what a great runner it was, and the fantastic sound and the fantastic detail and all that good stuff. And while some of that was true and did come through, it was just the running performance of this thing was diabolical out of the box, and I just was shocking. It was really shocking to get a locomotive like this. And my experience from the feedback I've got tons of feedback from people who've purchased these models and had similar experiences, and it really is it's been frightful, to be honest. I think Hatton's have probably been badly burnt by the whole experience. I think thankfully this video has probably avoided some other people getting burnt by purchasing these models. I certainly haven't gone back and purchased another one, and I think it's put a lot of people off, and I think that's a good thing, because I think the quality in railway models is really important, and we need to be getting value for money. And while a lot of people were so in love with the model that they were quite happy to go and rebuild the bogies themselves and do all those sorts of things, I wasn't, and that wasn't what I was into. I don't have the time to do that. I purchased a ready-to-run model. I expected to run. It did not run. I don't like doing negative videos, but I like to do factual videos, and so I'll call it as it is. I was really disappointed. It's a beautiful looking model, I won't debate that, and all of the different liveries, etc., that they've done are really nice, and Hatton's are to be praised for what they're attempting to do, but the quality just isn't there. So this wasn't the video I thought it would be. It's the number 1 video on the channel this year in terms of popularity, in terms of likes, in terms of watch time, and I think in terms of probably being useful to people. A video that's given people some good information that they can take on board and make a decision based on what's captured in the video. It's unfortunate that it's a video like this is the number 1 for the year. I would much prefer that this was a video talking about a fantastic locomotive that really did so brilliantly, and this was the number 1 video, and I'd be far happier doing that. it is what it is, and I suppose it's been a very useful video for people based on that. If nothing else, then I'm happy that that is the case, and it's been a useful reference video for people, and I suppose it has put people off the locomotive, and that's probably fine, because they're probably better off not going there and going through the pain they might otherwise experience. So that's the top 10 for 2020. It's a kind of an unusual top 10. I'll say it is selected by you, the viewers. I think it is an interesting mix. It's an interesting mix across the different vendors. It's an interesting mix in terms of the different types of videos, you know, what they cover. And I suppose I've enjoyed making these videos. And I suppose I'm looking forward to next year. And I'm really hoping that next year, maybe we won't be talking about locomotives that have problems or carriages that have problems or quality issues. I hope we're talking about some really good products that have hit the market. I'm certainly looking forward to the new Euroscale releases, our Irish Railway models for the Class A. Also looking at some of the new launches from Hornby as well, the Azuma, I'll be testing that. So these are things I'll be covering, and I hope that these will be figuring in the top 10 for 2021, but we have to wait and see. So thanks for joining today's video. Thanks for your support on the channel through 2020. Keep safe and all the best in the new year. And as I said, we'll see you hopefully early in the new year with some new videos. And in the meantime, happy modelling.